Shalom, brothers and sisters. Yahawah, man, look at the timing of that. Shalom, brothers and sisters, and Yahawah, man. This is another video I'm doing. It's going to be called The Purging, the Perpetual Purging of Yahawah, man. The Perpetual Purging of the Lord. And what we're going to do, this video is not going to be as long as the other ones. I just literally did a 2-hour video concerning the sword. Hopefully you brothers look into that and become edified through that. You know, we all prophesy in part, and I'm just trying to play my part in the body, man. But this one I'm going to try to do quickly and, you know, not take up your whole afternoon with it. But we're going to be talking about the purging of the Lord, man, because we are in a season of another purge. Another purging of Yahawah, man. So let's look at the definition of purging, okay? Let's highlight this. The definition of purging: the abrupt or violent removal of a group of people from an organization or place. Okay? The second definition: purification or cleansing. And it is a deed of purification and a cleansing coming to this land, to this world, man. For heaven and earth may pass away, man, but this word stands forever. And according to the word, there'll be a full end made of all the nations, right? All this stuff, man, everything we see, all this is going to be destroyed. And we're going to talk about the history of the Lord doing this perpetual purging, because this has happened many a time. Some of these stories you may have heard of, some of them you may have not, and a lot of it is, according to the scripture, has a lot of precepts that the Spirit put on my heart to bring out between the familiarities of the times of previous purging to what's to come as well. But let's go ahead and get into this lesson, man. Hopefully it's a blessing for you. And let's go ahead and get into it, man. The perpetual purging of the Lord. Let's start with Noah. We all know the story with that, man. We're going to go to Matthew 24, verse 37 through 39 to bring this on in. But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, until the day that Noah entered into the ark, and knew not until the flood came and took them all away. So shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. Okay? So we got to understand this, man. As the days of Noah, you know, shall also be similar to when the Son of Man shall be here, man. You know, look at the season we're in. You know, we see all these calamities happen. California just got hit with back-to-back earthquakes. And it's crazy because I made a video the early morning of July 5th. You know, the morning after the 4th of July. And was telling people that that's just a warm-up for California. The Lord is going to destroy that state, man. You know, his judgments are set against the world, really, all the nations, really, but California is on the hit list, okay? And then before the end of the day on Friday, it got hit with another earthquake, man. Call halal Yahawah. He is definitely moving in these last days and times. But with all these judgments that are going on, you know, the crops are failing, all the telltale signs of everything that was prophesied in the seasons that we're coming into towards the end. And what are people doing? They're drinking, marrying, giving into marriage. You know, these days, these women are twerking. They're careless. These men are, you know, whoremongering, worshiping money, deifying mammon, the demon of financial gain. You know, these people are not concerned about the purging of the Lord that is coming in these last times. Just as they were not concerned of the flooding that was coming, the purge of that time, you know, in Noah's day, you know, people were not concerned. And also another thing, in that time, Yahawah had repented himself of making mankind. That's how evil the times were. And we're definitely looking into these times again, man. These times we're definitely in again. But let's go ahead and read over it. Genesis chapter 6, verse 5 through 13. And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And it repented the Lord that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. And the Lord said, I will destroy man, whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and the creeping thing, and the fowl of the air. For it repenteth me that I had made them. But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. These are the generations of Noah. Noah was a just man and perfect in his generations. Noah walked with God. And Noah begot 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. The earth also was corrupt before God, and the earth was filled with violence. And God looked upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted his way upon the earth. And God said unto Noah, the end of all flesh is come before me, for the earth is filled with violence through them. And behold, I will destroy them with the earth. Okay, so the earth was in a certain vibration, man, to where Yahawah went ahead and reset it, man. He killed everybody, all things, except for 8 people in a select remnant of animals that Noah took with him. You know, you got to consider these things, because people tend to think that Yahawah is soft, effeminate, forgiving, kind. You know, all these things, you know, effeminate in nature and things like that. That's not the God of the Bible, man. That's not the Yahawah, Yahawah of Israel. That's not the God of the Israelites. The God of the Israelites, he definitely brings judgment, and he kills people, women, children. You know, imagine how many women and children died in that time of Noah, man. And this time is coming again, but even greater, like a time never before. Okay, now let's go into Sodom and Gomorrah, and we're going to start at Matthew 10 and 15. And by me starting with Matthew rather than jumping right into the examples, you know, is showing you, I'm showing you the perpetual purging, how even Yahawah HaMashiach himself, when he walked the earth, he gave the comparison and he gave the hindsight to times of judgment, okay, and comparing it to the latter time, which we are in. We're actually in this latter time. But let's go to Matthew 10 and 15. Verily, I say unto you, it shall be more tolerable for the land of Sodom and Gomorrah in the day of judgment than for that city. And this is following, you know, when the prophets and disciples will go out and people would not hear the gospel. They would not hear the message. And that's when the Lord gave that response. You know, it would be worse for that city. You know, and spiritually, that city is America. Spiritually, okay? Now, we got to understand where I'm getting at, okay? Let's go to Revelations 11 and 8 to give some further edification on this. And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified. That great city is Babylon, Mystery Babylon, America, okay? It's all in the spirit. The men of the Lord are aware of this, okay? Because the Lord has made it known spiritually. Because this book is an oracle, okay? And the bodies will lie in this great city. Because where does the vibration of homosexuality come from in this world today? It comes from the West. It is an American thing, okay? And we all know Sodom, you know, Gomorrah. Those were Hamite nations in Africa. But this place that is spiritually Sodom in Egypt, the oracle behind this is that this is the West. This is America that it is referring to. And America is going to get a worse judgment than Sodom and Gomorrah when that judgment does come to this place. Okay, now let's go to Genesis chapter 19, verse 23 through 29. Okay, to get the story behind this. The sun was risen upon the earth when Lot entered into Zoar. Then the Lord rained upon Sodom and Gomorrah brimstone and fire from the Lord out of heaven, and he overthrew those cities and all the plain and all the inhabitants of the cities and that which grew upon the ground. But his wife looked back from behind him, and she became a pillar of salt. Okay, and she's still there. Go ahead and Google Lot's wife. Google image search that, Lot's wife. You'll see it. I have a picture of her in one of my other videos when it was like, remember Lot's wife. That's one of my older videos. Yeah, that she's there. She's still there. There's a memorial, man. There's a remembrance. Now let's go to verse 28. And Abraham got up early in the morning to the place where he stood before the Lord, and keep in mind the color of these highlights, because I'm precepting things with these colors, okay? So verse 28. And he looked toward Sodom and Gomorrah and toward all the land of the plain, and beheld, and lo, the smoke of the country went up as the smoke of a furnace. And it came to pass, when God destroyed the cities of the plain, that God remembered Abraham and sent Lot out to the midst of the overthrow, when he overthrew the cities in which Lot dwelt. So he had 2 entire cities, huge cities, that were completely destroyed, and the only ones who were spared were Lot, his wife, and his 2 daughters. And his wife, out of disobedience and rebellion, turned around and obeyed not the angels, which told her not to turn around. She was destroyed as well. And the scriptures tell us to remember Lot's wife pertaining to the purge, the destruction that is coming in the future. You know, we got to remember that. You know, there's going to be many people who are going to turn back and, you know, get a RFID chip in their hand because they still want to be in Babylon, because they still trust Esau, because they still trust this Mystery Babylon system. You understand? That's why. You get it? So just as spiritually, well, not spiritually, Lot's wife literally did turn around to Sodom and Gomorrah, partly because she must have liked it there. You know, she still had that place in her heart, you know, for Sodom and Gomorrah. She didn't want to flee from it. So if you don't depart from Babylon now spiritually, Revelations 18:4 precept, you know, you're going to be destroyed and receive the plagues of Babylon, America. You have to depart from the holidays. You have to depart from the religions. You have to depart from all of this and only rely on the word of Yahawah Hashem Yahweh Shai. But if you look at verse 27, when it says, when Abraham got up early in the morning to the place where he stood before the Lord, and he looked towards Sodom and Gomorrah and saw the smoke, basically. He saw the smoke rising from the land. Let's precept that with Revelations 18, chapter 18, verse 7 through 11. How much she hath glorified herself and lived deliciously, and so much torment and sorrow give her. For she saith in her heart, I sit a queen and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. This is what the typical American believes. The pride of Esau has deceived his heart. You know, and the pride of the typical American is on the vibration of the Edomite structure. You know, they think the same way. You know, even to the point where you see a lot of Israelite women dyeing their hair blonde, you know, bleaching their skin, you know, doing things to emulate that Edomite look. You know what I'm saying? And that Edomite mentality. Majority of our people have been Edomized. Their minds have been seared within hot iron. It's no reversing it. They have been Edomized. So they think the same thing. Most of our people are simple. Most of these Israelites are simple out here, man. You know, they value money, they worship money, they worship all the same. You know, it's just like the Hellenist Jews who were living in Greece, and they considered themselves Greek even though they were Israelites. You know, they took on the whole ideologies and fundamentals of what being a Greek was. You know, and the Greeks were Edomites, you know, but it's just the same precept, man. But let's continue to verse 8. You know, therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burnt with fire. For strong is the Lord God who judgeth her. So there's going to be one day. In one day, America is going to be destroyed. You understand? The Lord is going to bring it. Now he's weakening the country. But in one day, it's going to be hell, man. And then from that point forth, you know, it's from that point forth, man, it's going to be very bad out here. From that point forth, it's going to be very bad out here, man. You know, that's when we may have to live as pilgrims among the earth. That's when it's going to be Jacob's trouble. Who knows, man? You know, but it's going to be destroyed. This country is going to be destroyed, man. And it's going to be literally a third world country. You think Venezuela is going through it? You think France is going through it with the yellow jackets? You think Haiti is going through it with the famine? And, you know, they're making mud cookies over there, mixing oil with water and dirt and eating that shit. You understand? You think they got it bad? You think the people in Yemen are starving? Yeah, it's going to be a whole... America's going to get it worse than all these other nations you see going through it, okay? But remember that precept when, let's go back to it. Remember the precept right here in the blue where it says, and he looked toward Sodom and Gomorrah and toward the land of the plain and beheld, lo, and saw the smoke of the country went up as the smoke of a furnace. Remember that part, okay? Because we're going to get somewhere, okay? In Revelation 18, let's go to chapter 9. One moment, y'all. I'm not even going to pause it. Let my daughter know I'm doing a Bible study. This is one of the reasons why I don't do as many videos as I want to. Okay, my daughter ran back downstairs. Cool. I heard her running up the stairs. Daddy! I'm ready to run in and barge in the room and, you know, interrupt. But, you know, it is what it is. Let's continue. Verse 9, you know, and the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning. Okay, so these other nations, just as Abraham has saw the smoke of Sodom and Gomorrah rising, these other nations are going to see. Hey. Okay. I'm doing a recording. You need to step out, baby. I'm gonna come down. But for right now, I'm doing something. Yeah, dinner is done. Dinner is done. But we're gonna go ahead and finish this, man. I'll eat when this video is finished. So I'm sorry about that interruption. I knew it was coming. And the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning. These other nations, we see it all the time. They're coming over here, and that, you know, America is a trade country. You understand? In the book of Revelation, it goes into the different things that these merchants will lose. You know, nothing's going to be coming over here no more. It's not going to be no more trading with America. That's going to contribute to the lack of everything during the tribulation, where there's really not going to be anything out here, man. It's going to be desolate, you know. But all these other nations who have committed fornication with her is by taking on the ideologies of the West, the lifestyle of the West, homosexuality, whoredom, you know, marriage and divorce and all this crazy. You know how America does it. It's all wicked. Everything's wicked and backwards here, you know. And all the other nations have undertaken the vibration of Esau here in America. You know what I mean? And that's what it means by them who have committed fornication with her. You know, committed fornication with this land by taking on the cup of the abominable wine that was in the harlot's hands. You know, the philosophies of Esau and the philosophies of America and the West. You know, but they're going to see the smoke of America burning, man. Let's go to verse 10. Standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, Alas, alas, that great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come, and the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise anymore. You know, a lot of companies outsource jobs and, you know, outsource resources. People are getting rich off Americans, you know, and that's going to come to an end. There's going to be a huge L for the world at large when the petrodollar. I'm not going to get too off topic, but when this economy finally crashes, man, and when it all comes to nothing, it's going to hurt the economy of a lot of other nations. That's where we're getting at, you know. But in 1 hour, the Lord is going to destroy this place and bring it down to its knees, man, to its knees. And that day, 10,000 is going to fall to your right and 1,000 to your side, man. But nothing shall hurt the hair on your head. So you got to have faith. We got to be close to Yahawah, pray daily for protection, and, you know, because who knows when the hour will be? Only the Lord knows. There's going to be an hour when Russia, China, Iran, they're going to start carpet bombing. I've seen it in vision. I made videos about it. I've seen the bombs. I've seen attacks where people who appear to be ISIS, like militants, jumping off their cars and shooting people, all while bombs and missiles are falling all at the same time. And warfare is coming to the land of America, and the smoke shall be seen from the coast, just as Abraham has saw the smoke of Sodom and Gomorrah rise. And the judgment that's coming here is going to be worse than Sodom and Gomorrah, right? So I went through that first in the book of Matthew. Let's continue to Revelation 18, chapter 17 through 18. For 1 hour, so great riches is come to naught. In 1 hour, your $1 billion, your $1 million, your whatever you got in the bank ain't going to matter. It's all going to come to naught, man. Okay, and every shipmaster and all the company and ships and sailors and as many as traded by sea stood afar off and cried when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, What city is like unto the great city? These other nations are going to mourn when they see America get destroyed. They're going to mourn. They're going to be sad, man. They're going to be like, oh, man, because it's going to hit their pockets. You know? It's going to hit their pockets, man. You know, and all these rappers, your Cardi B's, your Young Thugs, your Chris Browns, you know, whoever it may be, man, all that money is going to come to naught, man. It's not going to mean anything because the economy, of course, is going to fail at that point, you know. But let's continue. Revelation chapter 19, verse 2 through 3. For true and righteous are his judgments, for he hath judged the great whore, which did corrupt the earth with her fornication, and hath avenged the blood of his servants at her hand. And again they said, Hallelujah, and her smoke rose up forever and ever. The smoke that's going to come up off America is going to rise forever. The Lord is going to really, really F this place up, man. You got to come out of Babylon, please. Come out of the fornication of this place, man. And that's the whole vibration of this place. And it's every year, every moment, it gets worse and worse and worse and worse. It will not get better. And wickedness has overtaken this place, man. We got to separate our hearts and our souls and our minds from this place, man. Alienate yourself from Babylon, because serious plagues are coming here. Okay? let's talk about the purging of the house of Israel. Yeah. We're going to go back to the Old Testament. The purging of the house of Israel. The Lord has purged rebellious Negroes out of Israel. He shall do it again. Pertaining to Zechariah chapter 13, verse 8. That's your 2/3 verse. Where 2/3 shall be cut off and die, but yet 1/3 shall be preserved and shall be tried through the fire of adversity, but shall make it through. But let's go to Numbers chapter 16. Okay, it's talking about these rebellious 2/3 Israelites who came up against Moses and Aaron. Okay, and I'm gonna read this whole chapter. We're gonna go through it with a little interruption, and hopefully you enjoy this story, man. But this is also a time that the Lord has purged in history, and He had done this in His own house. Okay, Numbers chapter 16. Now Korah, the son of Izhar, the son of Kohath, the son of Levi, with Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, and On, the son of Peleth, son of Reuben, took men. So these were Levites and Reubenites, okay? And they rose up before Moses with some of the children of Israel, 250 leaders of the congregation, representatives of the congregation, men of renown. They gathered together against Moses and Aaron and said to them, "You take too much upon yourselves, for all the congregation is holy, every one of them, and the Lord is among them. Why then do you exalt yourselves above the assembly of the Lord?" So when Moses heard it, he fell on his face, and he spoke to Korah and all his company, saying, "Tomorrow morning the Lord will show who is his and who is holy. It will cause him to come near to him. That one whom he chooses, he will cause to come near to him. Do this, take censers, Korah and all your company, put fire in them and put incense in them before the Lord tomorrow. And it shall be that the man whom the Lord chooses is the Holy One. You take too much upon yourselves, you sons of Levi." Then Moses said to Korah, "Hear now, you sons of Levi, is it a small thing to you that the God of Israel has separated you from the congregation of Israel to bring you near to himself, to do the work of the tabernacle of the Lord, and to stand before the congregation to serve them, and that he has brought you near to himself, you and all your brethren, the sons of Levi, with you? And are you seeking the priesthood also? Therefore you and all your company are gathered together against the Lord. And what is Aaron that you complain against him?" And Moses sent to call Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, but they said, "We will not come up. Is it a small thing that you have brought us up out of the land flowing with milk and honey to kill us in the wilderness, that you should keep acting like a prince over us? Moreover, you have not brought us into a land of flowing with milk and honey, nor given us inheritance of fields and vineyards. Will you put out the eyes of these men? We will not come up." So these 2/3 niggas was talking about, they was mad because they left Egypt. They said, "Oh, we was in Egypt, we were good, but you done brought us in the wilderness." Just some rebellious Negroes, man, some rebellious Israelites. Let's go to verse 15. Then Moses was very angry and said to the Lord, "Do not respect their offering. I have not taken one donkey from them, nor have I hurt one of them." And Moses said to Korah, "Tomorrow you and all your company be present before the Lord, you and they, as well as Aaron. Let each take his censer and put incense in it, and each of you bring his censer before the Lord, 250 censers, both you and Aaron, each with his censer." So every man took his censer, put fire in it, laid incense on it, and stood at the door of the tabernacle of meeting with Moses and Aaron. And Korah gathered all the congregation against them at the door of the tabernacle of meeting. Then the glory of the Lord appeared to all the congregation. And the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, "Separate yourselves from among this congregation, that I may consume them in a moment." So the Lord, Yahawah wasn't even hearing it, man. He was about to, he did. He consumed them. And we're going to get into that. Let's continue. Verse 22. Then they fell on their faces and said, "O God, the God of the spirits of all flesh, shall one man sin, and you be angry with all the congregation?" So the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to the congregation, saying, get away from the tents of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram." Then Moses rose and went to Dathan and Abiram, and the elders of Israel followed him. And he spoke to the congregation, saying, "Depart now from the tents of these wicked men. Touch nothing of theirs, lest you be consumed in all their sins." So they got away from around the tents of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram. And Dathan and Abiram came out and stood at the door of their tents with their wives, their sons and their little children. Okay, so they come to the tents like, what the hell? Why is everybody departing away from us? Why is everybody running away from around us? And with their wives, plural, their sons and all their little children. They had their whole families in there. And Moses said, by this you shall know that the Lord has sent me to do all these works, for I have not done them of my own will. If these men die naturally like all men, or if they are visited by the common fate of all men, then the Lord has not sent me. But if the Lord creates a new thing, and the earth opens its mouth and swallows them up with all that belongs to them, and they go down alive into the pit, then you will understand that these men have rejected the Lord. Now it came to pass, as he finished speaking all these words, that the ground split apart under them, and the earth opened its mouth and swallowed them up, with their households, and all the men with Korah, with all their goods. So they and all those with them went down alive into the pit, and the earth closed over them, and they perished from among the assembly. Then all Israel who were around them fled at their cry, for they said, lest the earth swallow us up also. And the fire came out from the Lord and consumed the 250 men who were offering incense. So the Lord killed these three wicked men, and basically all their families, their children. That's why it's important to be with a man of the Lord, to you women, because that can spare you from judgment, man. Because these women, the children, all of them, they died with their head, with their leader, with their husbands. You understand? They died. Okay? And also the 250 men who were offering the incense. The Lord didn't even just, he killed them. Straight up. He didn't even allow to prove, the Lord definitely did prove something the way he went about it. But they was trying to do a test and see who's, with these censers, these 250 censers. The Lord wasn't even hearing it. He just took them out. You understand? Let's go to verse 36. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, tell Eleazar, the son of Aaron the priest, to pick up the censers out of the blaze, for they are holy, and scatter the fire some distance away. So the Lord came out and burnt them up with fire. Those 250 priests, you understand, the rebellious priests, he burnt them up. Okay, let's continue, verse 38. The censers of these men who sinned against their own souls, let them be made into hammered plates as a covering for the altar, because they presented them before the Lord. Therefore they are holy, and they shall be assigned to the children of Israel. So Eleazar the priest took the bronze censers, which those who were burned up had presented, and they were hammered out as a covering on the altar, to be a memorial to the children of Israel, that no outsider who was not a descendant of Aaron should come near to offer incense before the Lord, that he might not become like Korah and his companions, just as the Lord has said to him through Moses. Okay, so the Lord took Korah and the other two guys out, man, and their whole families and everything. Then killed the 200. Then burnt down with fire the 250 priests. Okay, who were all rebelling against Moses. Okay, complaints of the people. Okay, let's go to verse 41. On the next day, all the congregation of the children of Israel complained against Moses and Aaron, saying, "You have killed the people of the Lord." Now it happened, when the congregation had gathered against Moses and Aaron, that they turned toward the tabernacle of meeting, and suddenly the cloud covered it, and the glory of the Lord appeared. Then Moses and Aaron came before the tabernacle of meeting. So all these Israelites got upset with Moses, because they got mad at Moses because the Lord killed Korah, the other two dudes, and even the 250 Levites, the priests. The Lord killed all of them. You understand? This is how the Lord gets down. This is how Yahawah gets down. You understand? I'm gonna hit him back a little later. It's my brother right there, man. And all in the spirit. So they came up against Moses, the congregation of the Israelites, because they were upset that these people had died. Okay, let's go to verse 44. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Get away from among this congregation, that I may consume them in a moment." And they fell on their faces. So Aaron and Moses was like, "Oh Lord, Yahawah is about to kill all these people, man." Yahawah is not playing. He's the same yesterday as he is today and forevermore. He's not playing. We have grace right now, but that door of grace is closing, man. You Israelites need to repent, man, and get in the covering of the Lord, because when he brings this judgment, if you are holding hands with Babylon, man, you're going to take the plagues of Babylon. Okay, so let's continue. Verse 46. So Moses said to Aaron, take a censer and put fire in it from the altar. Put incense on it and take it quickly to the congregation and make atonement for them. For wrath has gone out from the Lord. The plague has begun. So Moses was trying to save these wicked Israelites, trying to hurry up and get Aaron to make an atonement for them so the Lord wouldn't kill them. Okay, let's go to verse 47. Then Aaron took it as Moses commanded and ran into the midst of the assembly. And already the plague had begun among the people. So he put in the incense and made atonement for the people. And he stood between the dead and the living. So the plague was stopped. Okay, so it worked. The Lord, stopped the plague, But let's see what happened. Verse 49. Now those who died in the plague were 14,700 besides those who died in Korah incident. Yeah, so the Lord killed over 14,700 Israelites for rebelling against Moses and Aaron. Okay, so Aaron returned to Moses at the door of the tabernacle of meeting, for the plague had stopped. Woo! The Lord is not playing, man. Call Yahawah, Yahawah. He has done this yet unto his own children, to the nation of Israel. How much more so the other nations, man? The Lord is not playing. Okay, he's definitely about to purge. Let's go to Ezekiel chapter 9. We all know this one right here. Wickedness had spread upon Jerusalem, man, upon Israel, and Yahawah got fed up and basically did a purging amongst Israel. And we're going to look into this, man. Ezekiel chapter 9, verse 4 through 7. And the Lord said unto him, go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and cry, for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. And to the others he said in mine hearing, go ye after him through the city and smite. Let not your eyes spare, neither have you pity. To smite means to kill, to put to death. Okay? Verse 6. Slay utterly old and young, both maids and little children and women, but come not near any man upon whom is the mark, and begin at my sanctuary. Then they began at the ancient men who were before the house. And he said unto them, defile the house, and fill the courts with the slain. Go ye forth. They went forth and slew in the city. You understand? So although there was a point in time where it got so wicked in Israel, man, that the Lord said, you know what? Damn this. Go, walk around, see who is sighing and crying and is upset about these abominations, okay, that is going on in the city. And everyone else, put them to death. I don't care if it's a little girl. I don't care if it's a teenage girl. I don't care if she's a virgin. I don't care if she's an old woman. So the Lord kills women and little children, okay? He said women twice. Maids, little children, and women. Old men, young men, don't matter. If they're not sighing and crying, it is time for them to be put to death. Okay, and that's exactly what happened. That was a purging. Okay, we went through the definition of purging. That was an ethnic cleansing. You understand? And the ethnic cleansing is coming back to this world, but definitely for the house of Israel. Why? Because Zechariah 13:8, I always refer, 2/3 are going to be put to death, man, in these times to come. We need to separate ourselves. You understand? Just like Moses had the Israelites separate themselves from the tents of those three wicked men because the Lord consumed them. You got to separate yourself from the ways of these Gentiles and the way of Babylon, because the Lord is about to consume them. And I'm going to prove it, okay? Now, I'm going to close it out with that. The visitation is ahead, man. We're going to talk about this next purging, okay? This next purge that's coming. Zephaniah, chapter 3, verse 8. Therefore wait ye upon me, saith the Lord, until the day that I have risen up to the prey. For my determination is to gather the nations, that I may assemble the kingdoms, to pour upon them mine indignation, even all my fierce anger. Ooh! For all the earth shall be devoured with the fire of my jealousy. The Lord is gathering the nations, okay? We see we always talk about this. There's certain key verses that I bring up a lot. This is one of them. Okay, because we see all this war and all this going on with Iran. It's written in the book of Isaiah that the Lord shall stir the Medes up against Babylon, man, against America. That's prophetic. It's an oracle. The Medes are the Persians, and the Persians are the Iranians. It's all coming together, and everybody's going to be meeting down in the Middle East in that valley of Jehoshaphat, man. And the Lord is going to give them everything He got. He's going to light these nations up. He's going to make a full end of all nations we have been scattered. He will destroy. Okay? And we got to understand this. And I'm going to prove it. Okay, let's go to Joel chapter 3 verse 2 for a precept. I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. Okay, because the indigenous Israelites being the Negroes, here in America, you have different tribes that's been scattered. We're all over the earth, man, all over the earth. You have the Igbo tribe in Africa. You have the the Benjaminites down there in the West Indies. You have the Levites in Haiti. You have a lot of the northern tribe in Central and South America. We're scattered everywhere. They're in Germany. They're in Europe. We're everywhere, man. But this was a tumult from Psalms 83, where all the nations have scattered us and enslaved us, and to take away our identity. You understand? It is all a fulfillment of Deuteronomy 28 curses, as well as all a fulfillment. But this is how it was done. And the Lord, it's going to be time for these nations to pay up for what they did. Okay? And they had part of the Lord's land. How? Does the Balfour Agreement ring a bell? Were them fake ass Jews, them Amalekites, who proclaim to be the children of Israel, but are not, when they took the land? And this is a welfare state. The United States of America is giving billions of your tax dollars to these Zionist Jews. You understand? So man, this is just much blood that's going to be shed over there. Yeah, but they parted the land and put us into slavery all over the world. Really, Yahawah did, but through these nations. But for 400 years, we are in a captivity, man. And our time is almost up. You can see it. You can see it because of all the confusion that's happening in the world now. Let's go to Isaiah 66, verse 15 through 17, because if we look at Joel chapter 3, verse 2, it says that he will gather all these nations down to the valley of Jehoshaphat and will plead with them there for his people and for his heritage, Israel. You understand that we have been scattered. Now, how would the Lord plead with these people? Okay, Isaiah 66, verse 15 through 17. For behold, the Lord will come with fire and with his chariots like a whirlwind to render his anger with fury and his rebuke with flames of fire. Okay? For by fire and by his sword will the Lord plead with all flesh, and the slain of the Lord shall be many. You understand? So the Lord's coming back with his chariots, with so-called UFOs. Yeah, and there's been a higher presence of these chariots. Even NASA, man, these nations are terrible. They're seeing it. They're seeing them. You got people on airplanes, passengers on airplanes, seeing these unidentified flying objects appearing and reappearing and disappearing and going at triple light speeds and stopping, and man, supernatural. These are the chariots of Yahawah. Okay, he's gonna come back with these chariots. It's gonna be time to put these people to death, man. And I'm sorry, that's just what it's going to be. I'm actually not sorry, because we got the kingdom next after that. The Lord is going to destroy these nations, and he's going to rise up the men of Israel, and we're going to rule. But let's continue. Okay? They that this is verse 17, chapter 66, Isaiah. They that sanctify themselves and purify themselves in the gardens behind one tree in the midst, eating swine's flesh, and the abomination and the mouse shall be consumed together, saith the Lord. So all you swine, pork eaters, all you who do not decipher the clean from the unclean foods, even though the prophets of the Lord are constantly telling y'all, the law's not done away with, you're going to be put to death, man. I'm sorry, that's what it says. You're going to be put to death for eating that shit. Because what? The Lord is going to do what? He's coming back to purge, to cleanse, to make right through bloodshed, death, and destruction. That's what's going on. That's what's going to happen, whether you like it or not. And it talks about they who sanctify themselves and purify themselves in the gardens behind one tree in the midst. That tree represents false leaders, false prophets, your pastor pork chop, your Christian church, your female pastors, which is an abomination to have a woman pastor leading a congregation, because according to the law, the Lord has set up men to lead the congregation. But of course, these simple ass Christians won't never get it, because they don't care about the law of the Lord. So all of you are being lied to. A lot of you Christians, you're following that one tree, following that one false prophet. You're gonna be put to death, man. But let's go to Jeremiah chapter 46, verse 28. Fear thou not, O Jacob, my servant, saith the Lord, for I am with thee, for I will make a full end of all the nations whither I have driven thee, but I will not make a full end of thee, but correct thee in measure, yet will I not leave thee wholly unpunished. Okay, So the Lord's going to correct us in measure. Okay, so and we're not going to be wholly unpunished. Okay, but let's go to Jeremiah 30:11, which says damn near the exact same thing. Okay, for I am with thee, saith the Lord, to save thee, though I make a full end of all nations, whither I have scattered thee, yet will I not make a full end of thee, but I will correct thee in measure, and will not leave thee altogether unpunished. Almost identical verses in Jeremiah 30:11 and 46:28. Okay, these other nations, man, are all gonna be brought to a full end. Period. These kids, man, and nieces and nephews, man, they off the chain. See what I did with? Why are you disrespecting me, kicking this door?
You missed it the whole dinner, Daddy.
I'm okay with that. I'm gonna come down and eat. I told you what I was doing. I'm not worried. Listen, I'm not worried about it. It's okay. It's okay. Don't kick this door. That's very disrespectful. I'm gonna come down in a minute. All right. Yeah, see what I deal with. Yeah, let me go ahead and get ready to go eat, y'all. But basically, man, the Lord's making the full end of all these nations, man. But he's not going to make a full end of Israel. Why? Because 1/3 is going to be bought through. 1/3 is going to be tried. But 2/3, the Lord is going to cut off. So we're going to see a lot of Israelites dying out here. A lot of these simple niggas dying out here. We're going to see it. You know? But that pretty much wraps up the lesson. I didn't want to make it too long. But us talking about the purging of the Lord, man, and how, the next purge is going to be. And it's already started. You know, these judgments are definitely here, man. But shalom to all you brothers and sisters in Yahawah Shai Mashiach and Yahawah Shem Yahawah Shai Barakatah, man. Blessings, peace unto you. And definitely salutations to the elders and those in the truth, man, and all the brothers putting in this work on down, man, in truth and sincerity. You know, but shalom until next time. Hope you enjoyed the lesson. Hopefully it was edifying.